Shedeur Sanders has sold the most amount of jerseys out of any rookie this year, but out of the top 10 jersey sellers, he's making the least amount of money. Which got me thinking, how many jerseys would he actually have to sell in order to match his NFL salary? He's on a 4-year, $4.6 million deal, which averages about $1.16 million per year.
Shedeur Sanders just pulled off a move that has the NFL on edge. Before even taking a snap in the league, he's landed a massive deal outside of football that rivals what top rookies usually make from their first NFL contracts. For a league used to controlling every dollar and storyline, this is a direct challenge. The question now is simple. If Sanders can make this much without the NFL, what does that mean for the league's future power over its stars? When the numbers were released, they sent shockwaves across both college football and the NFL. Reports indicate Shedeur Sanders' outside deal is worth over $10 million annually, a figure that rivals or even surpasses the guaranteed salary of most first-round rookie contracts. To put that into perspective, the average rookie quarterback drafted in the first round signs a 4-year deal worth around $20 million, with annual salaries averaging between $6,700,000 depending on draft slot. Sanders just managed to secure a partnership that places him in that same financial bracket before the league even has the right to draft him. For NFL executives and owners who pride themselves on controlling the structure of rookie pay and the financial entry point for new talent, this isn't just another endorsement, it's a statement of independence. The immediate consequence is leverage. Sanders is no longer walking into the NFL as a prospect dependent on a franchise for his livelihood. He is already financially secure in a way few rookies have ever been, which completely shifts the balance of power in future negotiations. If he enters the draft, he won't be the desperate young quarterback willing to accept whatever rookie wage scale dictates. Instead, he'll arrive as a player who can afford to wait, to choose his path, and to potentially push back against the system. That is an unprecedented situation the league has not truly faced before, even during the early NIL boom, because NIL mostly impacts players in college, but Sanders' deal feels larger, louder, and more disruptive. It makes him look less like a prospect and more like a star free agent before his rookie year even begins. The fan reaction reflects this shock. Social media engagement around Sanders' announcement spiked dramatically. His Instagram post about the deal gathered millions of views in under 24 hours, dwarfing the type of interaction you would normally see for a rookie not even yet drafted. Compare that to Trevor Lawrence, whose draft night posts gathered fewer than 1 million engagements on social platforms. Sanders is commanding attention on a level that mirrors established NFL stars, and advertisers know it. That's why his deal is not just a number on paper, it's a reflection of cultural relevance. The NFL thrives on cultural monopoly, with its stars being the face of Sunday broadcasts, but here's a player rewriting the rules before he even steps onto the professional field. In terms of measurable consequences, the business ripple is immediate. Colorado's spring game last year, where Sanders played under his father Deion, drew a record 47,000 fans, by far the largest in school history, and generated national TV ratings that doubled the average of other spring showcases. That was before this deal. Now, his commercial profile is even bigger, and advertisers who once relied on the NFL's Sunday showcase to reach millions are experimenting with Sanders directly. For example, if one of his deals includes a sneaker or apparel brand, those sales and that marketing push don't require the NFL shield. They're tied directly to his name, image, and cultural relevance. That independence makes the NFL nervous, because its entire business model is based on being the gatekeeper between advertisers and players. The numbers underline the threat. NFL games dominate television ratings, with 93 of the top 100 broadcasts in the US last year belonging to the league. However, those ratings are not immune to disruption. When Colin Kaepernick dominated headlines in 2016, viewership dipped around 8% compared to the prior year. When Tom Brady left New England, local ratings in Boston fell by nearly 20%. One star can shift audience behavior dramatically. Now, if Shedeur Sanders, already one of the most marketable players in college football, enters the league but arrives on his own terms or worse, delays entry to protect his outside revenue, the NFL risks losing a portion of its monopoly on attention. Fans will follow Sanders wherever he goes, whether that's NCAA Saturdays, YouTube campaigns, or brand-backed events. The league hates uncertainty, and Sanders just introduced it on a massive scale. For context, the NFL has always enforced a tight rookie wage scale. In 2011, they capped rookie contracts after seeing Sam Bradford sign a 6-year, $78 million deal as the #1 overall pick. First overall pick in 2010. That system keeps rookie salaries predictable, with even top picks like Joe Burrow initially making less than what Sanders is now earning outside the league. The message from Sanders' deal is simple. I don't need to play by those rules. He is signaling that he can make as much or more outside the NFL structure, which could embolden future stars to challenge the system. If you're a college quarterback right now watching Sanders sign this deal, you're wondering if the NFL should even be your first option, or if you should build your brand first and then enter the draft on your own timeline. It also impacts how franchises evaluate risk. Normally, a team drafting a quarterback in the top 10 assumes full control over his development, his brand, and his public image. But what happens if Sanders enters with pre-existing business obligations that rival NFL endorsements? The league has exclusive marketing deals, Pepsi, Nike, Verizon, Amazon, you name it, and players typically fall in line. But Sanders having his own independent partnerships could create direct conflicts with league sponsors. Imagine if his deal is with an energy drink not named Gatorade, or a streaming service not partnered with the NFL. Suddenly, the league's monopoly on branding is challenged. And if Sanders refuses to back down, the NFL has to decide. Do they risk alienating one of the most marketable young quarterbacks in years, or do they adjust to accommodate him? Either path is uncomfortable for a league used to dictating terms. The early signs suggest the NFL's unease is real. Anonymous executives speaking to reporters have already expressed frustration, noting that Sanders' deal changes the equation for rookie negotiations. One source even suggested it could lead to an informal blackballing attempt where certain teams might avoid drafting him to send a message. But that would be a dangerous gamble, given the fan base Sanders carries with him. At Colorado, ticket resale prices jumped from an average of $45 in 2022 to nearly $180 in 2023 after his arrival. That's a 300% increase driven by one player. For an NFL franchise in need of ticket revenue and new energy, passing on Sanders would mean passing on guaranteed business growth. Owners may be frustrated by his independence, but they also know what he brings to the table financially. In many ways, this situation is unprecedented. The closest parallel is Deion Sanders himself, who once juggled NFL and MLB careers while commanding endorsement attention. But even Deion did not have a deal of this magnitude before entering the NFL. This is new territory, a player who has managed to create a financial empire without stepping into the league's ecosystem, leaving the NFL as the one playing catch-up. That's why the immediate headline is clear. The NFL isn't just surprised, it's furious, because for the first time, it may have to share the spotlight with a player who doesn't actually need it. The timing of this deal is just as important as the size of it. Shedeur Sanders isn't a seasoned pro cashing in on years of dominance, nor is he a retired legend attaching his name to one last marketing push. He's a prospect still technically outside the NFL system, yet he's already earning like an established franchise quarterback. That shift matters today because the rookie wage scale exists to level the playing field between young players and owners. It was meant to prevent untested prospects from walking into the league with leverage, but Sanders has found a way around that, and he's doing it before even submitting his name to the draft. That's why this deal lands like a thunderclap. It doesn't just affect Sanders, it questions the foundation of the NFL's control over future stars. Consider the raw numbers. A quarterback selected in the top 5 of the NFL draft signs a deal averaging around $35 to $40 million over 4 years, with guaranteed money in the $20 to $25 million range. That breaks down to $8.1 million annually. Sanders' reported outside deal is worth around $10 million per year. That means he's already on par with what he would make as a top pick, but without the pressure of being locked into a rookie contract system. And unlike NFL salaries, which are controlled by salary caps and CBA restrictions, this outside deal has no limits. It could grow with performance, marketability, and audience reach. By hitting this milestone before draft night, Sanders sends a message to both his peers and NFL owners. The league no longer has a monopoly on top dollar opportunities. The immediate impact falls falls on how teams evaluate him as a draft prospect. Normally, the power dynamic is clear. A player needs the NFL for exposure, financial security, and career validation. But in this case, the NFL may need Sanders more than he needs them. If he decides to delay entering the draft, the league loses one of the most marketable young quarterbacks in years. That's not speculation, it's measurable. Colorado's home attendance nearly doubled after Sanders' arrival, with sellouts becoming the norm in a stadium that previously struggled to fill seats. ESPN and Fox both fought for broadcast rights to Colorado games, driving viewership that rivaled some NFL preseason contests. Sanders brings numbers, and the NFL thrives on numbers. If he chooses to wait, every season the league misses out on him could mean lost ratings, missed sponsorship opportunities, and reduced hype for quarterback-hungry franchises. This also matters because it changes how rookies approach negotiations. Imagine Sanders entering the draft with the financial security of a $40 million outside portfolio already in place. If a team with a poor offensive line or dysfunctional front office tries to draft him, what incentive does he have to play along? In the past, rookies had little choice, they needed the money, but Sanders could, in theory, refuse to sign, hold out, or demand a trade, knowing his livelihood doesn't depend on the rookie deal. That kind of leverage hasn't been seen since Eli Manning forced his way from San Diego to New York in 2004. The difference? Manning was already inside the NFL structure. Sanders could test that leverage from the outside, and that's a nightmare scenario for the league, which thrives on predictability. The player pipeline is also shifting. With NIL deals exploding, other quarterbacks are watching closely. Arch Manning at Texas, for instance, has a reported NIL valuation north of $3 million. Caleb Williams' NIL earnings last year were estimated at $5 million, but Sanders surpassing them with a deal closer to NFL rookie money redefines what's possible. If college players realize they can make NFL-level salaries while staying in school or pursuing other ventures, the pressure to rush into the draft lessens. That creates a ripple effect. Fewer big-name stars enter the league on the NFL's timeline, and instead they bide their time until the conditions are right. That threatens not just ratings, but also the draft's status as a premier cultural event. If Sanders skips or delays the draft, fans will question whether the NFL's calendar still dictates football's biggest storylines. The timing matters from a business standpoint as well. NFL teams have structured their marketing strategies around new quarterbacks driving ticket sales. Look at what happened when the Jacksonville Jaguars drafted Trevor Lawrence. Season ticket sales jumped by nearly 30% compared to the prior year. The same happened in Cincinnati with Joe Burrow. Within weeks of his draft selection, the Bengals saw thousands of new season ticket deposits. For struggling franchises, drafting a quarterback is not just about winning games, it's about filling stadiums and driving merchandise revenue. Sanders entering the draft should create that same economic boom for one franchise. But his outside deal creates uncertainty. Will he play right away? Will he commit long term? Or will his outside commitments interfere? That hesitation could cost franchises millions in immediate ticket sales if fans doubt whether Sanders will be fully available. Why it matters now also comes down to perception. The NFL is the most powerful sports league in America, with billions in TV rights, global expansion projects, and a near total dominance of the ratings landscape. Yet one player before even entering the league just demonstrated that he can draw millions of viewers, sell out stadiums, and command top-dollar endorsements without the NFL logo behind him. That perception shift is dangerous for the league. If players realize they don't need the NFL to build empires, the NFL's role as the kingmaker of football stars begins to weaken. And it's happening in real time, right as Sanders' brand surges ahead of draft season. For Sanders himself, the timing is brilliant. He's capitalizing on momentum while still in college, ensuring his name remains relevant regardless of draft status. The longer he sustains this momentum outside the NFL, the more leverage he carries into any negotiations. And for the league, the longer this continues, the more pressure builds. Fans are already invested in Sanders' story, not just because of his skill set, but because of his cultural relevance. His last name connects him to one of the most charismatic figures in football history, and his play at Colorado generated highlights that dominated social media reels. That means every week he delays entering the league is another week fans consume Sanders-related content outside the NFL's control. That's why this deal matters today. It forces the NFL to accept it is no longer the only stage where stars can shine. The closest comparisons to what Shedeur Sanders just accomplished come from the past, but even those examples fall short of capturing the scale of what this moment means. Deion Sanders, Shedeur's father, once juggled NFL and MLB careers while commanding headlines, endorsement deals, and cultural relevance. Bo Jackson, another dual sport star, famously turned down the NFL initially to pursue baseball, only later returning to dominate both fields. Those stories carry echoes of independence, of athletes refusing to be boxed in by the league's demands. But there is one fundamental difference. Both Deion and Bo needed a professional league to provide their initial platform. Shedeur, by contrast, has built his platform before setting foot on an NFL field. That changes everything. Take Deion's case. When he was drafted 5th overall by the Atlanta Falcons in 1989, his rookie deal was worth around $4.4 million over 5 years. It was a solid figure for its time, but nothing close to the $10 million plus annual figures Shedeur is now commanding from outside partnerships. Adjusted for inflation, Deion's rookie deal would be worth around $10 million today over 5 years. Shedeur's deal, by contrast, is worth that much in 1 year. The gap illustrates the magnitude of the shift. Where Deion needed the NFL to boost his value, Shedeur is showing he can achieve that value independent of the league. That's why the NFL is uncomfortable. It's watching its monopoly on star making erode in real time. Bo Jackson provides another illuminating comparison. Drafted 1st overall in 1986 by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Jackson refused to sign because he didn't trust the organization. Instead, he chose baseball, signing with the Kansas City Royals before eventually joining the Raiders as a two-sport star. The decision cost the NFL years of having one of the greatest athletic talents in history. But again, Jackson's value was tied to professional sports contracts. His leverage came from his rare two-sport ability. Sanders' leverage doesn't come from another league, it comes from his brand. That's an important distinction. Jackson could walk away from football because baseball provided another paycheck. Shedeur could walk away, or at least stall, because his marketing partnerships alone equal NFL salaries. The NFL has seen players hold out for leverage before, but never from the outside looking in. There's also Eli Manning's 2004 draft situation to consider. Manning and his family forced the San Diego Chargers to trade him on draft day, sending him to the New York Giants. The leverage came from his status as the consensus number one overall pick, and the financial backing of the Manning family, who could afford to play hardball. But again, Eli's leverage operated within the NFL structure. He still signed a rookie contract, still played by the league's rules, even if he bent them. Shedeur's case is different because his leverage exists outside of the system entirely. His financial independence comes before the draft, not after it. That distinction makes this feel more disruptive than any past example. Even modern rookie comparisons highlight the divide. When Trevor Lawrence was drafted 1st overall in 2021, he signed a 4-year, $36.8 million fully guaranteed contract. That's an average of just over $9 million per year. Joe Burrow's rookie deal in 2020 was $36.1 million over 4 years. Again, just under $9 million annually. Shedeur Sanders' outside deal, reportedly worth $10 million annually, exceeds both figures. That means on a yearly basis, Sanders is already earning more than what recent number 1 picks made on their rookie contracts. The NFL designed the wage scale to prevent unproven players from having that kind of financial leverage. Sanders just bypassed it entirely. The ripple effects are broader than just money. Historically, the NFL has thrived on being the central stage for football stars. Players like Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and Patrick Mahomes didn't become household names until they were winning games under the NFL shield. College success didn't carry the same weight, and endorsement deals were modest at best until players proved themselves on Sundays. Sanders has flipped that model upside down. His stardom comes pre-packaged, his brand already thriving, his audience already built. That's why the NFL is furious, because it can't claim to be the sole maker of football icons anymore. You can also look at the cultural impact compared to recent stars. Take Johnny Manziel, for instance. In college, Manziel was a phenomenon, generating headlines and fan buzz that rivaled NFL storylines. But because NIL rules didn't exist yet, Manziel couldn't monetize that fame legally at Texas A&M. By the time he reached the NFL, his off-field decisions had undercut his earning potential. Shedeur, however, exists in the NIL era, where that same cultural energy translates into real dollars. Instead of waiting for the NFL to provide validation, Sanders has already capitalized on his marketability. That's why his situation feels both unique and dangerous for the league. It exposes the gap between the NFL's carefully controlled entry system and the free market energy of NIL-driven branding. Even compared to Patrick Mahomes, the league's biggest star today, the contrast is striking. Mahomes signed a rookie deal worth $16.4 million over 4 years after being drafted 10th overall in 2017. That's an average of $4 million annually. He didn't truly break through financially until his $503 million extension in 2020. Sanders is hitting Mahomes level yearly money before entering the league. That's not just unusual, it's unprecedented. It creates a scenario where Sanders could, in theory, reject bad organizational fits or resist early playing time because he doesn't need the money. The NFL has never dealt with a rookie prospect capable of that kind of independence. From a ratings perspective, this also draws an interesting contrast to Tim Tebow. When Tebow entered the NFL, he was already a cultural lightning rod. His jersey became one of the league's top sellers almost instantly, and his brief stint as a starter boosted television ratings. But Tebow never had the financial security Sanders now enjoys. His fame was real, but his leverage was limited to fan support. Once teams decided to move on, Tebow had no outside income stream keeping him relevant. Sanders has built-in sustainability, even if an NFL team tries to sideline him. His brand partnerships, social media following, and college legacy keep him culturally alive. That gives him leverage Tebow never had. And then there's the elephant in the room. NIL has changed everything. In 2021, when the NCAA finally allowed athletes to profit from their name, image, and likeness, it created an entirely new economy. Last year alone, NIL deals generated over $1 billion for college athletes collectively. Sanders isn't just part of that trend, he's the poster child for its success. By securing a deal that rivals NFL rookie money, he demonstrates the peak of what NIL can achieve. That forces the NFL to reckon with a new reality. The league once had the exclusive right to make players wealthy and famous. Now, college athletes can enter the NFL already wealthy and famous with no financial dependency on the league. That flips the power structure upside down. So when you line up the comparisons, Deion Sanders, Bo Jackson, Eli Manning, Trevor Lawrence, Patrick Mahomes, Tim Tebow, you see similarities, but you also see limits. All of them, in one way or another, still needed the NFL to validate their stardom. Shedeur Sanders doesn't. That's why this moment stands apart. It's not just about one player signing a big deal. It's about the NFL realizing that for the first time, it might not be the only platform capable of creating icons. And if other athletes follow Sanders' lead, the league's grip on football's future could weaken in ways it never expected.